The business, motherfucker.
The Daily Read. Your source for news, politics, sports, and all things trending. Here's your host, Marcus Gentry.
And there you have it, people. Those are the millennials. Those are the people right there that are going to save us from these racists and bigots. You see, I watched that video and of Mr. Floyd being murdered by these 4 officers. And the reason why I'm not just including the guy that had his knee on the man's neck, because the other 2 held him down while the 4th officer was trying to block people from recording it with his body. In my eyes, that makes all of them accessories. It hurt me to see that. I watched it twice. I'm not going to play it on this program. I was so hurt by that. Right after the Arbor case. And I'm not going to be one of these people that's going to get on here and try to talk about you millennials. About how you shouldn't be riding and stuff like that. You do what you do. I have every confidence that you're old enough now to take up the reins where some of our cultural icons couldn't succeed in doing. You see, this marching and stuff, some of y'all done marched to the bottom of your souls that came off your feet. Ain't nothing changing. Some of y'all done got rich during the marches. And the ones that have gotten rich during the marches, y'all done forgot about the marches. Some of y'all have gotten into positions of power, like DA, police officer, fireman, chief of police, senator. And you've forgotten about the marches until things like this spring up. I do have one thing I want to say to you millennials. I'm going to say it later on in the show. But this first segment right here, this first segment is for you bigots out there, you racists out there, that try to hide behind police badges because you know that there's a protective shield around police officers when it comes to their own. You see, the police force done turned into almost like a gang. That's basically what the police force done turned into. You guys act like a gang. And what y'all don't realize is that white supremacy has infiltrated your ranks. And those white supremacists have made all of you being painted in the broad picture that all of you are corrupt. And the reason why is because you're not standing up and saying nothing. Not just the white officers, but especially you minority officers. Some of y'all done learn to tap dance and survive inside the police departments. That's why you quiet as a church mouse. You're not saying nothing. You're not doing nothing. I went back and rewatched the video of Mr. Scott being shot in the back by that officer. The first officer on the scene after he got shot in the back was a black officer. He knelt down over Mr. Scott's body. The white officer that shot him walked up and dropped something on the ground. I'm going to let that sit on your soul for a minute. Nobody said anything about it. I don't even think it came out in the news too much. The black officer must have told that white officer, hey man, somebody's recording, you need to pick that up. Because the white officer, after about a half a minute, he reached down and picked up what he dropped on the ground. How come that black officer didn't expose that man? This is what I mean. You millennials are going to save us from this corrupt, bigoted country. Because what's happening is the civil rights movement of the 50s and 60s, they're too old. They're too old. When you see these people out here marching with the youth, half the youth got to hold them up just to walk down the street with them. They done got too old. My generation that came after them, we've been sidelined because of prison and felonies. They didn't make the same mistake with us that they made with the civil rights movement. They took us out the family home, out the family structure. I'm going to let that sit on your soul for a minute. Just think about that. Think about that for a second. The marchers of the 50s and 60s are too old and they're dying. Half of them are gone. They sideline us. We can't become police officers. They put us in prison for 20 and 30 years. They snatched us out the family home, out the family structure, and put the black female at the head of the household. We can't even go buy guns to defend ourselves. Some of us, hey, defend yourself, people. Do what you got to do. But some of us can't even defend ourselves. They've sidelined us. But you millennials, blacks and whites, you guys are the first generation that literally fools with each other. You guys are the first generation that actually mix and mingle to the point where y'all have kids by each other. You see, back in the days, every now and then a white couple and a black couple pop up, mixed couple will pop up. As time went on, you got more and more. But now it's nothing with your generation to see a black and white family. No problem at all. You guys are the ones who are going to stop the bigotry and racist machine that's trying to take over this country again. And I'm not going to down none of you. I'm not finna sit here and slap your hand talking about don't ride. I'm not going to do none of that. You want to go to some progressive liberal show? I like all of them. The TYT, the Sam Sneeders, the Jeffrey Dollamore. I like all of them guys. I fool with them guys. But I'm on a different type of schedule than that. I'm on something I'm on something totally different. I'm with it. You see, if I was 20 years younger, I'd probably be out there with them. This is my platform right here now. And I'm going to give my millennials a chance to get at it on this platform. Speak your mind on this platform. I'm not going to deny you. You out there on the front lines right now. Then you got this crooked president, this racist president, telling people when the bullets fly, when the ride started, the bullets flying. He took a direct quote from a racist sheriff down in Florida. That lets you know who the type of people that he follows, that he listens to. He's not making it no better. Now what's going to happen is we're living through a deadly history in this country that's going to make or break America. A very, very deadly time in this country that's going to make or break America, especially when it comes to us minorities. We already have a deadly virus that only comes around once in 100 years, going through this country, killing people, majority black people. Now, the racists in this country have ramped up their attitude because of Donald Trump. You got a white woman in New York calling the police on a black man who was recording her, then lied on camera, saying the man was attacking her to the police. All of this bigotry is blossoming. It's not being shut down, it's blossoming. That's why I'm not finna sit back and tell you guys and slap you on the hand and say, man, look, you people are doing what y'all got to do. You millennials are doing what you got to do. You see, you bigots out there, you racists, y'all just woke up the beast. Y'all been hiding in the shadows for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. Matter of fact, go back farther than that. Y'all been hiding in the shadows ever since the Civil War, plotting and scheming to take over this country. I'm talking to you Confederate flag wearers. I'm talking to all of you. And some of you black folks that ride with them. I'm talking to y'all too. Y'all been plotting and scheming in the shadows ever since the Civil War. And the millennials, they've been asleep. They've been asleep. They got their heads in their phones, texting their white friends, playing Xbox. They've been asleep. And y'all studying, manipulating stuff behind the scenes. Kept on poking the bear. But now you done woke up the beast. And now you got all of these black mayors and black governors and black senators and black civil rights movement people coming out talking about, man, y'all calm down. These millennials are telling each and every one of you that y'all been marching for 70 years. Y'all done marched till the soles done came off your feet. And ain't nothing changed. They ain't listening to what you gotta say. You can get out of here with that. You been marching up and down the road. I got something to say to the millennials too. I'm going to say that later on in the show. Some of y'all ain't going to like what I got to say, but I'm going to say it to you anyway. But I never deny you, ever. And I'm not going to condemn you. Period. And I know some of y'all tap dancers going to get in my inbox. I ain't trying to hear nothing you got to say. I've already had racists and bigots in my inbox. I just ain't never said nothing because I'm ready for it. I ain't never said nothing. I done 50 shows, over 50 shows. On the Daily Read, I done over 50 shows. And I've had bigots in my inbox about some of the topics that I talk about. I don't say nothing. Because I'm ready. As long as you keep it on internet gangster time, I ain't gonna mess with you. But we don't fear you. We're not scared of your racist, biggest ways. This ain't the 60s and the 50s. Where you slap somebody in the face and call them boy, and they just turn the cheek and walk away. That ain't happening no more. That's over with. That America you think was so great, that's done. That's done. You got people these days that's gonna meet you head on. Not caring about death or jail. Gonna meet you head on. And y'all know this. This is what y'all were scared of. You politicians who've been slowly creeping all of this bigotry and racism into politics. Y'all been scared of this all along. This is what's been keeping y'all up at night all along. Y'all been trying to manipulate things behind the scenes, hoping that these youngsters and these millennials that hang with each other, that have kids with each other, would ignore the slick racism that's going on with you. But y'all done poked the bear too many times. The beast has came alive, and America is burning. And you can't just say it's black people. You see, that's what y'all thought in y'all racist mind, that only the blacks was gonna get out here and riot. I just showed you a clip of a spot 15 miles from where I stay at. Everybody in that crowd was like brothers and sisters, whites and blacks. And when that officer went to reach for that kid, they went to reach for him. Immediately. Immediately. They didn't hesitate. Did none of them hesitate. They went for him immediately. Like, get your hands off of him. Y'all done poked the beast too many times. And all you marchers out there with your signs up, these millennials are tired of seeing that. That ain't working for them. It ain't working for you neither. I'm going to get into my first commercial break, and when we come back, I want to talk about Mario Cuomo and some of these other politicians that are standing up. The mayor of Minnesota, the town of Minnesota Friar. I like this guy. He immediately, when that incident happened, he didn't hesitate. He didn't sit back talking about he gonna wait and see what the evidence is. He didn't do none of that. Immediately when he seen that video, them officers got fired. Immediately. It wasn't no waiting. We're gonna come back off this commercial break, and when we get back, we're gonna go into this, people. And I also want to talk about Killer Mike and what he said, which is going to lead me into the discussion about you millennials. I want you millennials to pay attention. Pay attention to what I got to tell you.
The business, motherfucker.
The Daily Read.
I got a lot of love and respect for police officers, down to the original 8 police officers in Atlanta that even after becoming police had to dress in a YMCA because white officers didn't want to get dressed. And here we are 80 years later. I watched a white officer assassinate a black man. And I know that tore your heart out. And I know it's crippling. And I have nothing positive to say in this moment because I don't want to be here. But I'm responsible to be here because it wasn't just Dr. King and people dressed nicely who marched and protested to progress this city and so many other cities. It was people like my grandmother, people like my aunts and uncles who were members of SCLC and NAACP, and in particular, Reverend James Orange, Mrs. Alice Johnson, and Reverend Love, who we just lost last year. So I'm duty bound to be here to simply say that it is your duty not to burn your own house down for anger with an enemy. It is your duty to fortify your own house so that you may be a house of refuge in times of organization. And now is the time to plot, plan, strategize, organize, and mobilize. It is time to beat up prosecutors you don't like at the voting booth. It is time to hold mayoral offices accountable, chiefs and deputy chiefs. Atlanta is not perfect, but we're a lot better than we ever were, and we're a lot better than cities are.
The business, motherfucker.
The Daily Read.
All right, people, we're back with the Daily Read. And I got to say something to you millennials out there. I hope you watched that commercial all the way through. If you didn't, I want to play it again for you. Especially what Killer Mike said. Right now is not the time to burn your own house down. Okay? One thing that made me mad about the whole Rodney King incident back when it happened was that your own neighborhoods got burnt up. Beverly Hills never got touched. Those are the people that hold the power. Those are the people who got the ear of the governor because they rich. Beverly Hills, and don't get it twisted, because I'm gonna say this for the FCC, just in case somebody try to report me as saying I'm advocating for rioting. I'm not. What I'm telling you millennials is, it makes no sense to burn down your own grocery stores. It makes no sense. You got the right idea because you're standing up. You ain't marching, you standing up. But don't burn down your own house. Don't burn down your own house, people, because it does no good. I want y'all to listen to what Governor Mario Cuomo said.
The George Floyd death was not just about George Floyd, and we wish his family peace, and they're in our thoughts and prayers. But we tend to look at these situations as individual incidents. They're not individual incidents. When you have one episode, 2 episodes, maybe you can look at them as individual episodes. But when you have 10 episodes, 15 episodes, you are blind or in denial if you are still treating each one like a unique situation. We have an injustice in the criminal justice system that is abhorrent. That is the truth. It doesn't make me feel good to say that. I'm a former prosecutor. We have injustice in the criminal justice system.
Now, that right there comes from Mario Cuomo. This man right here was a prosecutor. He prosecuted criminal cases. He understands, he knows that there is injustice in the criminal justice system. These cops get away with murder all the time. All the time. And there's nothing done about it. Some of y'all get out here and march with your signs, Black Lives Matter. 2 days later, you go right back to grinding at your job until the next episode. These millennials have caught on. They done caught on, people. And they have no fear of you if you're a racist. They have no fear of you at all. None. They willing to burn this place to the ground for equal rights and equal justice. They willing to burn it to the ground, people. You biggest in our politics, Y'all have poked the giant, the monster, the bear. Y'all done poked it too many times. And the reason why I'm siding with the millennials and the youngsters out here, the reason I'm siding with them is because I can see the anger and frustration. And I can see that the marching ain't getting you nowhere. It's not getting you nowhere. You millennials, y'all got to come together and decide on who is finna go into law enforcement, who is finna go into politics. You got to put your phones down for a second and start looking up and understanding what's going on around you. I'm not tripping on you watching your videos, doing your TikTok. I'm not worried about that. But you got to pay attention also to what's going on around you. You got to start making yourself be known in the ballot box. Y'all grown now. Y'all old enough to understand that who you put in politics is who is going to fight for you or not fight for you. Y'all got to get this understood. We already know you're not scared. But y'all millennials got to shake this whole mentality about I'm not finna be a cop. I'm not finna be a police officer. You see them black officers that's already in there, that's been in there for 30 and 40 years, they done learned how to tap dance. The younger crowd of black police officers and minority Latino police officers that get into these police departments, what the police do to them, they'll send an older black officer at them who done learned how to tap dance. And what that older black or Latino officer does is he basically tell them, hey man, you got to get along in here. You got to get along in here. It's up to you millennials to put on that badge, put on that gun. It's up to you millennials to teach your kids how to shoot, how to go hunting. It's up to you now. Don't just burn stuff to the ground, because after all of this is over with, you still got to take further action. You got to get into these places. You can't just leave it up. Oh man, that's them older folks, man. We're going to let them handle all this racist stuff. No. I just sat there and told you on the first segment that the elders, they're old and dying out. All the next generation after them, my generation, they done sidelined us. They done sidelined us. You, the youth, are the ones who got to get up in there. You got to get in them squad cars. You got to watch for these bigots. Do your job. I'm not telling you not to do your job. I'm not telling you not to arrest people you got to arrest. But you got to also have another job. A job that you might not even get paid for. You got to watch these bigots and these racists that infiltrate the police departments. You got to watch them. You got to expose them. You got to get them out of there. Because these tap dancers that's already in there, they done learn to get along with society how it is. Them the ones that's trying to calm you down. Them the ones who after everything's calmed down, they still ain't gonna do nothing. They're not finna create no new laws. They're not gonna do nothing. These dudes might not even get prosecuted all the way. You, the youth, the millennials, you got it. The torch has already done been passed to you. I saw it in that video. All of you. You guys are the most intermingled race of society in America to this modern day times. Back in the days, that whole crowd would have just been blacks and one or two whites like Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren. They might have been the only two whites sprinkled in with a whole bunch of blacks standing around that police car. But now, when you looked at that crowd, everybody was together. And when that police officer went to reach for that man, everybody went to reach for him immediately. You guys got it. Y'all, the torch done been passed to you. Whites and blacks in the millennial age. Y'all the ones who gonna have to make power moves now. Because we done got sidelined. I'm gonna tell you how we got sidelined. For those of you who really want to know. I like giving history lessons. I love giving history lessons. You see, after the civil rights movement, my generation started organizations, which are now gangs to this day. We didn't help ourselves by introducing drugs. You see, organizations have to be funded. Vice Lords, Black Peace Stones, Nikki Cobras. You see, these were organizations that were trying to help the minority community come out of the ghettos and the projects and have something. Plus, we was tasked with protecting black communities from whites. Because whites used to come into our communities and rape black women, beat up and spit on black men. That's why in them old black and white videos, when you see them Black Peace Stones, them stones standing out there with them berets on, with their hands across their chest, and you see them Black Panthers, those men were sent there to protect minorities against racist whites. But what happened is, the government outlawed them as being gangs. And we didn't help none because we started introducing drugs and crime into these organizations in order to produce wealth for our organizations. That's where we made a mistake at. Because once they labeled us as gangs, now we can't help the communities. We can't help the communities. We can't help the black communities because even the black community started turning against us. That's why we got sidelined. The elders who started the civil rights movement, they too old. My generation that came after, we got sidelined partly because of what we did. Now it's up to you as a millennial. It's up to you. My suggestion, don't introduce drugs and violence and gangs into your movement. Don't introduce that into your movement. Stand up for yourself. Infiltrate the government. Plot, plan, scheme. Do the same things that these bigots and these racists have been doing since the Civil War. Infiltrate the government and change it from the inside. Don't just sit there and keep burning stuff down. Stand up for yourself. Stand up for yourself. But don't just keep burning stuff down. Be a force to be reckoned with. We got an election coming up in less than 6 months. How many of you millennials that was standing outside that car has registered to vote? How many of you millennials that grabbed that police officer and drug him off that man is registered to vote? You got to get in here and get involved. I did an interview with a woman. I'm not going to say her name. She told me to my face she don't get involved in politics. Lady, you got black kids that might get murdered by white officers. I'm trying to explain to you millennials that you are standing up. You are the army and our people of the future. But you got to put them phones down. You got to get involved. Put that Xbox down for a minute. and start paying attention to what's going on around you so things won't get this bad to where you got to burn stuff down. That's my message to you millennials. I'm not done. I'm not done at all. I want y'all to hear what this black chief of police said. This is powerful.
This is a vetting issue of future officers. This is a culture issue. It's clearly systemic.
Well, you know, I can tell you, looking at this situation, and looking back when I started 44 years ago, 10 years after Detroit's civil unrest, I didn't want to be a police officer. But I looked at this as an opportunity to be part of meaningful change. So one of the messages I'm trying to get out is, look, if you don't like what's going on and provide, police officers and how they provide service in your community, become part of the solution.
Plain and simple. He put it to you plain and simple. All of you millennials out here who watch my show, who love my show, pay attention. Get involved. Become a police officer. And when that black cop that's been a police officer for 30 or 40 years come to you and look you in your face and say, hey man, you got to learn how to tap dance around here. You look him straight in his face and say, man, I ain't tap dancing for nobody. Well, hey, if you want to rise in the ranks, you going to learn how to tap dance. You tell them, man, I don't care about rising in the ranks. You became a police officer. One thing only. You going to do your job. But I'm watching all of these bigots and these racists that's in this department. I'm watching them. That's what you got to do. That's what you got to do. And your kids that don't have felonies, you got to take a hold of them. You got to take them down into that gun shop, that pawn shop, that gun store, and say, hey man, my son, he's 20 years old. He finna buy a pistol. We're going to take him to the firing range later on. They're going to give you funny looks, but they can't stop, they cannot stop you from buying it. The reason they're going to give you funny looks, because they ain't used to seeing minorities walking in legally and buying pistols. They're not used to that. Arm yourself legally. Arm yourself legally. Get inside of politics and change things legally. Become a city council so you can change things in your neighborhood. So you can demand that if a police officer do something reckless and dumb, he's fired. You got to get into these places. Put that phone down for a hot minute. And when that tap dancing joker come up to you and tell you, hey man, you got to learn how to tap dance like me. I've been a police for 30-some years. That old dusty cop that's been hanging with the good old boys, chewing tobacco, looking like Sheriff Joe Clark. When he come to you and tell you got to tap dance, you tell him to kiss your ass. Plain and simple. I'm not here for that. I'm here to do my job, and if I see some bigotry going on, I'm going to expose it. Period. I don't care if you a police officer, a sheriff deputy, a federal agent. I don't care what you is. Don't worry about losing your damn job. So what? Some things are bigger than that little job. You can go be a police officer somewhere else if they fire you. At least you exposed them. That's the mentality you got to have when you go into these places. I'm not tap dancing. I came here to change some things around here. We're not finna be murdering black men out here now. You better not let me see it. If you arrest him the proper way. If you put up a fight, hey, put up a fight with him. I help you. But he ain't finna die. He ain't finna get killed out here for nothing. That's how you gotta do it, millennials. You done showed these people in America already your power. You done showed these people in America you woke now. You done woke up. They done woke the beast up. And America is burning. Now you got to take that next step. Now you got to take that brick, put that brick down, put that ball or lighter fluid down that you finna burn this building up with. You got to put that down, and you got to get into these places where they at and look them in their eyes and tell them, yeah, I'm up in here. You see, I done been in places like that as a truck driver. I've been around truck companies where I was the only black person in the whole company. And the white guys will come and say some slick racist stuff to me as a joke. And I'll stop them. Say, hey man, I'm not with that. I'm not for to laugh and giggle with you. That joke was kind of racist to me. And don't say it again. Oh, my fault, man. My fault. See, they try to test you. They try to test you with that bigotry. And see, some blacks out here in these communities, in order to get along and tap dance, they'll smile and laugh and joke. I straighten them up immediately. Hey, man, you know, we don't do no monkey jokes. We don't do none of that. Not with me. Because I quit this job and me and you can go out back and have this private discussion. Me and you. And what they do is they give me a wide range. They go about their business. They go about their business. I stop it immediately. Ain't no joking, ain't no playing going on. See, when they find them a tap dancer, they manipulate and use that tap dancer. There's no tap dancing over here. I was a millennial before millennial was even a thing. Before there was millennials. There's no tap dancing with me. I've already stated, if I was 20 years younger, I'd have been out there with you. I can't get the picture out my mind of this man nonchalantly kneeling on this black man's neck like that. I can't get the picture out of my mind. It hurts so bad. It hurts. And those other officers that were holding him down too, they need to be charged too for accessory. Even the one that was standing up there trying to run roadblock, he needs to be locked up too. I'm finna get into this last commercial break. And when we get back, I want to talk about Minnesota. A lot of people don't realize Minnesota is a black city, as a chocolate city also. I've been to Minnesota. I've been in Minnesota, and Minneapolis is a chocolate city, and they have a big population of Africans there. Not just African Americans, but a lot of Somalians there, a lot of Nigerians there, and they have become Americanized too because their kids have grown up in this country. So it's a big population of black people there. And I know some people that live in other places don't realize that because they've never been to Minnesota or Minneapolis, but trust me, it goes down in Minnesota. It goes down there, people. We'll be back.
The business, motherfucker.
The Daily Read.
Time and again, we've seen black men die at the hands of law enforcement, or more recently, not law enforcement, for no reason. There will be an investigation conducted into the civil rights violations by the FBI, and I think that was absolutely the right call.
The business, motherfucker.
The Daily Read.
All right, people, we back with the Daily Read, and on this last segment, I want to go back to the Walter Scott case, because there have been other cases after Walter Scott that have been very disturbing, but Walter Scott, to me, was a very disturbing case right up next to this one. The Aubrey case was bad. It was bad, people. But he fought. He fought. He fought for his life. And it was bad. But Walter Scott was running away from this man, and this man shot him in the back. And then he ran and got whatever taser that was on the ground, walked over to the body of Walter Scott as he was handcuffed on the ground. And a black officer was kneeling over Walter Scott, and this white officer dropped that taser right next to Walter Scott's body. I was so shocked. And I wasn't shocked because the officer did what he did. It's been well documented that these officers lie on their police reports about the man struggled, the man did this, the man did that, which is why I shot him. They lie all the time, so I wasn't shocked about that. What I was shocked about was that black officer watching this white officer drop a taser next to Walter Scott's body. And his reaction was almost a no reaction. Like, this is normal. And the black officer back was turned to the camera, but he must have said something to the white officer. And I guarantee you, I can almost tell you what the man probably said. He probably told that white officer, "Hey man, it's a camera behind us. You need to pick that up what you dropped." And then a few seconds later, the white officer picked up whatever he dropped on the ground and tucked it in his belt. Now I want y'all to watch this. This was very disturbing to me. Okay? I'm not going to show you Walter Scott getting shot, just like I'm not going to show you Mr. Floyd being murdered by these cops. I'm not going to show you that. Okay? But I want to show you the aftermath of where this officer, right in front of the black officer, dropped this weapon or whatever it was.
Oh shit.
Now, the reason why that was disturbing to me is because, like I'm telling you, millennials, you're gonna have some of you millennials are gonna disagree with me about joining the police force, because a lot of you don't want to deal with pigs and cops, period. I understand that. I understand the history. I understand the nature of what's going on. But you can't stay on the outside to change things. You can't do it, people. You got to get in there. That black officer right there, he's one of those black officers that's going to come to you once you get on the police force and tell you you got to tap dance around here like he has. That black officer is the problem. The white officers, the bigots, they the problem too. But that black officer, his first job is to do his job. But his second job, knowing that there are bigots that done infiltrated the police department, his second job is to root them out and get them out of there. When he saw that man drop that taser or that pistol, he didn't say nothing at first. When that guy with the camera got a closer look and reached the camera over the fence to get a better look at them, that's when that black officer knelt down and had his back turned to the white officer and told him to pick up whatever he dropped. I guarantee you, I can almost tell you what that conversation was like in private. I guarantee you, he told that man, we got people watching us, you need to pick that up. You see, police officers can arrest other police officers. That black cop, he should have arrested that white cop immediately when he did that, because that was illegal. And in my mind, I'm wondering why it didn't come out. Why wasn't nothing said? I'm pretty sure people in law enforcement knew that that incident happened. But the reason why it didn't come out, the reason why nothing was said about it in court, and if it was, I didn't hear nothing about it, was because the black officer and the other officers put a shield around that white officer. And what you black officers out there, now I'm talking to you black officers, what y'all failing to realize is that you're protecting bigots. You're protecting racists. And it pisses me off. You know that these people have infiltrated the police departments all across this country. Ever since the Civil War, white supremacy has been infiltrating parts of the government all over this country. You black officers know this. And you still protecting these people because you're tap dancing. Just like that incident I played at the first of the show in Nashville, where you had all the millennials standing around that police car. The young black man stood on top of the police car. A white officer didn't jump up there and grab him. I'm going to let that sit on your soul for a minute. The person that jumped up on that car and grabbed that young black man was another black man and tried to snatch him down off that car. The millennials went for him immediately. Like, get off of him. It wasn't a white cop that did that. A black cop jumped up on that car, tried to grab that man off that car. All the white officers like, man, look, I'm not getting involved in that. I'm just here to make sure the peace is kept. You know, y'all protesting, protest peacefully. So you millennials are not just fighting against bigotry and racism. You got some Candace Owens out there. You got some Omarosas out there. You got some Kanye West out there. You got some people out there, man, that's riding with this because they've made good off of this society. They've gotten rich. They've taken care of their families. They've had money in their pockets. They bought cars and houses off of this society of bigotry. and they just smile and laugh and cheese and like everything's still good. Like this Sheriff Joe Clark fella in Wisconsin. He pisses me off every time I see him. He'll turn his back on you. He will. You millennials gotta watch for these old head tap dancers. Y'all know the stories about house Negroes. Y'all already know the stories. They got treated better than everybody else. They still was beneath the boot of the white races, but they got treated better. And that's how they live in their life right now. Them the tap dancers. So when I tell you millennials to get in there, get into politics, get into the state trooper's office, get into the federal offices, get into the police departments, get into the sheriff departments. When I'm telling you millennials to start getting yourself into these places and watching for these races and exposing them, you got to watch for these knuckleheads too. You got to watch for these house Negroes too. You got to watch for them. They in there. You got to watch for them. Because what's going to happen is when we throw the bathwater of racism out, when we throw that bathwater out of racism, some of the house Negroes, they're going to go with it. They're going to go right along with it. We're going to throw them out with the bathwater too. We ain't going to play no games with it. We're not going to play no games with this stuff, people. Listen to this tap dancer. Listen to this black police officer been a cop for 30-something years. Listen to him.
What I see is something that's very difficult to watch and has unfortunately become, all too frequent in the communities of color in particular, and that is the pain, the anguish, and in this case, as in some other cases, the actual death of an individual.
Now, he couldn't even bring himself to say the death of a black man. He couldn't bring himself to say it. Because he done learned. See, y'all got to watch the little minute details about these people. You see, my mind moves different from a lot of people. My mind moves different. When I be around people, I might be smiling, playing cards with you, drinking with you, kicking it with you. But I'm watching everything going on around me. I'm watching. I might not say nothing because it don't directly involve me. But I'm watching all the game you think you spitting. I'm watching the words coming out your mouth, just in case you try to say something slick. I'm watching your actions. I might even go to a woman's house to kick it with her and go to the bathroom. Take a piss. I might glance down at the tub. If it's a filthy tub, you got glue tracks all in the sink. It's filthy all in your kitchen. I ain't gonna say nothing. I'm gonna have my few drinks. I'm gonna say, all right, man, I'm gonna holler at you later. And I'm out of there. Because I done observed everything I need to observe. You filthy. I ain't trying to mess with you. See, you got to watch how these people move. These house Negroes, you got to watch how they move. I'm finna play some more of this guy. So y'all can get a full understanding. Of when y'all do, you millennials, when y'all do decide to get into these politics and get into these police departments, they gonna send people like him at you. The experienced black police officers that's been around 30 and 40 years. They gonna send these people around you. And they gonna tell you, man, look, man, you gotta tap dance. You got to, we protect each other. We are all police officers. And man, we're this and that. I'm finna show you some more of this guy.
Train as compressing one or both sides of the individual's neck with an arm or leg without applying direct pressure to the trachea or airway. The guidance notes they shall not be used against subjects who are passively resisting. As with all policing, most of this is at the local level of rules and laws. What can you speak to both the rules and whether they were followed and what's shown on the video?
We have to be very careful here, and that is, and this is the opportunity really to commend the response by Mayor Fry and Chief Arredondo, because what they realized and understood is that we can deal with the minutia of the specific rules and regulations as it relates to police use of force, etc. We can deal with some of the fringe areas of the law, or we could deal with what we actually saw with our own eyes and deal with this case and other cases like it on an emotional, responsible way to really address the issue at hand. Because if we have a debate or a discussion about the intricacies of police tactics, etc., then we miss the point. The point
No, we ain't missing no point. We're not missing no point. See, this is the type of dude I'm talking about. This is the type of guy I'm talking about right here. You millennials, when y'all do infiltrate these places, these politics, these sheriff deputy departments, and start putting that badge and gun on, they're going to send some guy like this at you. They're not going to send the white cop at you. They're going to send somebody like this at you. You know, he going to try to avoid all the questions and start talking about other stuff. Instead of just flat out plainly saying to Ari Melba, hey man, it was wrong. That black man shouldn't be dead right now. I don't care if he was in there passing a bad $1 bill or $20 bill. I don't care about that. It was bigotry. It was racism. It was wrong. That man nonchalantly knelt on that man's neck for 9 minutes. 2.5 minutes after the man stopped moving, he still knelt on the man's neck. He avoided all of that and started giving you some word salad about something that don't even matter. You millennials got to watch for these type people. You got to watch for these type people. Because they out here. They out here, people. We're not going to play no games with this. We're not going to play no games with this at all. And like I said earlier in my show, I appreciate you. All of you millennials is out here standing up. I appreciate you. I want to get to Senator Cory Booker. Now, Cory Booker is different from this black man that just got through talking. Cory Booker is not going to avoid the question. Cory Booker going to straight up tell you, hey, this ain't good. This ain't right. See, Cory Booker is going to sit here and tell you straight up. He's not going to throw no word salad at you. He's not going to, see, this is the type of black politicians we need. This is the type of minority sheriffs and deputies and police officers we need right here. I want y'all to listen to Cory Booker, and I want y'all to listen to the difference. Listen to the difference in what's said between that other guy I just played and Cory Booker. I want y'all to listen to the difference.
Really one nation. This is not a quaint ideal. It's an inescapable fact. And when you see the horrible, horrific murder of George Floyd, you know the history from which it springs. You know the depth of the pain and anguish where Black people in communities all across this country live in fear of the police. And you understand that what we see manifesting right now is not just a reaction to a live or caught on tape murder, but to deep wounds within our society, within our body politic that are festering in our country and must be addressed. And we are not manifesting the conviction as a society to heal ourselves. And right now you're seeing the consequences of that.
Now you see the difference? You see the difference between how Cory Booker, as a black politician, And you had this black ex-politician. He's a politician now too. He's an ex-cop, but he still is involved with police politics. You can see the difference. You can see the difference between the house Negroes and the people out here that's really trying to stand up. You can hear it. All you got to do is pay attention. You can hear it. You can see it. This show ain't like these other progressive liberal shows. I'm not finna slap you on the hand for standing up. Y'all letting it be known that the beast is woke now. They done poked it too many times. I'm not finna get mad at you. Because if I was 20 years younger, I'd be out there with you. This is my platform right here. This is how I'm going to fight against injustice and inequality. I'm going to give you that platform to come out here and say something about it. That's why I got my phone lines in. The torch done already been passed. The elders that fought in the civil rights days, they old and dying. My generation that came after, we've been sidelined. Most of us been sidelined. We can't get into politics, some of us. I could, if I wanted to. But you the youth, the millennials, y'all got this. I'm finna play some more Cory Booker. Because this is more of what we need right here.
You criticized President Trump this week when he tweeted, quote, "When the looting starts, the shooting starts." Obviously, that's an infamous quote from a racist sheriff in late 60s. The president later said he wasn't calling for shooting, and he wasn't trying to echo that racist Miami police chief who notoriously used police brutality against black Americans during the civil rights movement. What do you make of his explanation?
You know, from Donald Trump, even before he was president, this full-page ad condemning to death the Central Park Five, exonerated people, to his calling entire cities in our country rat-infested, rodent places of filth, to his not ability to condemn Nazis. Every time I respond to Donald Trump, I do it from a place where I realize he doesn't deserve a response. He doesn't deserve my attention or my emotion. Our people do. Donald Trump no longer has the capacity to break my heart, to surprise me. But I say this all the time. If America, though, as a whole, if America hasn't broken your heart, you don't love her enough. And if you still love this country, then remember the words of Martin Luther King about people like Bull Connor and people like George Wallace. He said, what we have to repent for is not simply the vitriolic words and violent actions of the bad people, but the appalling silence and inaction of the good people.
Now, I hope that everybody that heard that can get an understanding of what Cory Booker's talking about. Some of y'all that got y'all head in them phones, you know, you watch Real Housewives every night, and you go out there and march up and down the street with them signs until the soles fall off the bottom of your feet, off your shoes. That ain't enough. That's not enough, people. It's not going to cut it. You got to infiltrate. You already done showed them your power and your strength by standing up. Now you got to infiltrate. Just like they've been doing for the last 100 years. You got to get in there. Let them see your black face. Let them see your Latino face. And you got to stand up. Don't tap dance. Do your job as a police officer. If you got to arrest somebody for domestic abuse, for drugs, or whatever, do your job. But keep your eyes open. Keep your eyes open, people. Get in there. Infiltrate. Flood the system. Flood it out. Let them know, hey man, we up in here. We watching you. I don't care about being demoted. I don't care about getting fired. You're not going to do that man like that. Get off of him. If I was a black police officer and I arrived on that scene and I saw that that man on the ground wasn't struggling and you still got him held down, you got your neck, your knee on his neck, I'm going to tell you right in front of the cameras, right in front of everybody, hey man, get up off of him. He's incapacitated. We got him handcuffed. Let's get him in the squad car. Get off of him. That's what we need. Standing up means more than just riding and picketing and marching. You got to get off your couch and put in them applications. The sheriff, the black sheriff of Houston, he said it a while back. You don't like what's going on? I got applications. He told you. I tried to find that video before today's show. But the man told you, you don't like what's going on? Get in here. Protect your own community. Get in here. I got applications for you. Come on in. He's basically begging for help from you. He can't watch all these bigots. He runs a sheriff department. He got to control a lot of things. Get in here. Let it be known, hey man, that guy shot that man in the back, then he tried to throw a gun on the ground. Expose him. Don't worry about getting demoted. Some things is bigger than this. I love you all, man. I love you all. But America's going to have to change, because if it doesn't, these millennials, they're not going for it. They're not going, people. They're going to burn this country to the ground. And it's not just minorities. You see, that's what a lot of people in politics, the biggest that's already in politics, that's what they was thinking. That it was just going to be a lot of blacks out there throwing bricks and bottles. No. These millennials play football together. These millennials have parties together. These millennials have kids by each other. Whites and blacks and all other races. These millennials ain't all segregated and separated like us older people. These millennials, they get it. They know that this is wrong. And they willing to burn this country to the ground in order to stand up. Because they're not going to turn the other cheek and let you smack them in the other cheek. If you smack one of these millennials, they're going to smack you. They ready. That's our future. They ready. I'm going to end today's program, and I want to say peace and love to everybody. But you bigots, you racists, y'all on y'all last leg. It's not going to work. Whatever plots and plans and schemes y'all thought y'all had, it's gone. It's dead. The millennials ain't going to let it happen. Mother Nature stopped it from happening with the virus. Now, the millennials are showing you they're not going for it neither. It's over with. This is the Daily Read, and I'm out.
The business, motherfucker.
The Daily Read.
Business.